Right, lads, it's happened. Messi's done it at long, long last. We can stop having this stupid debate. Messi is above anyone else. We will never see anything like what we've seen in his career ever again. And I mean, he's already said this won't be it for Argentina, so I look forward to watching every last second I can of him in a football shirt. But what a player and what a career! Like the amount of achievements he's had, the trophies, the individual accolades, the moments of genius. I mean, there's thousands of them over his career. What an amazing player! But what a game! So that's Lionel Messi out of the way for the minute. But that game, Argentina 3, France 3. That might just be one of the greatest games of football we've ever seen in the history of the game. I don't think I can think of in the 10-15 year period, 10-15 year period, probably 13 year period that I've been watching football. I can't think of a better football match that I've seen. Genuinely nothing. That game was superb from minute one. First half, Argentina were by far the better side. France weren't at it really first half. Argentina all over them. The ball very rarely left France's half. And Argentina went 2 goals up. The first goal, definite penalty. The second, elaborate a bit on the first. Di Maria, it's a very good piece of skill to get past Dembele the first time, but Dembele, it's just so clumsy, and it just put France at a setback immediately in like 20 minutes into the game. Messi scores the penalty, and then we see one of the, in my opinion, one of the goals that will go down as an all-time great World Cup final goal from Argentina, because I think the one thing people love in terms of World Cup final goals is team goals. The most iconic one is obviously the perfect goal in 1970 scored by Carlos Alberto from that amazing Brazil team that beat Italy, I think it was 4-1. And yeah, that just capped off a superb performance from a superb team. This game, it was a lot tighter, and I don't think either team is quite at the level of that, or quite at the level of dominance of that 1970 Brazil team. But this goal, the second one from Argentina, involving Lionel Messi, Julian Alvarez, Alexis McAllister, and finished off by Angel Di Maria. Superb goal. Every single pass in that move was incredible. The Messi flick to Alvarez, the ball through to McAllister from Alvarez, and my favourite bit on the goal was actually the pass from McAllister to Di Maria, the assist, because that pass is so easy to get wrong. It looks simple when you watch it on TV, but anyone who's ever been in that position when they're playing a game knows if you hit that ball slightly too far forward, slightly too far behind Di Maria in terms of like not quite in not quite perfectly, so he's running onto it on not perfectly in his stride. That's the phrase I was looking for. If you hit it so it's not in his stride, or he's having to go a bit further wide or a bit further in, then the chance is increasingly more difficult, and it like gives Hugo Lloris a much better chance. But the fact that it's exactly where Angel Di Maria would have wanted it, I think Alexis McAllister has to take huge praise for that. I saw some criticism for Hugo Lloris in terms of he didn't make himself big enough for that goal, but I think that's a load of rubbish, to be honest. You can't expect much more from him. It was just a superb team goal against an average France team in that first half. I think that's being a bit kind to them, because they just weren't at it at all. All of their players just looked out of energy. Like, you wonder about these rumours of this virus that's been affecting them and how much it did affect them. And by the hour mark in the second half, I was genuinely thinking, this lot have clearly been, hammered by this virus that's going round, because they just they're nowhere near the team they have looked in other games, like against England, like against Poland, like against is it they play in the round of 16? I'm forgetting now. No, it was Poland in the round of 16. That's right. Like against Australia and Denmark in the group stage as well. They just weren't at it at all, and it was quite easy for Argentina, and I think that was what led to their downfall, Argentina, a little bit, because in the second half they did take their foot off the gas, and to be fair, I can understand it. They were playing at such high intensity in that first half that they were never going to be able to maintain it. So what they did is they brought off Di Maria, put on Acuna, and just went a little bit more conservative. And France, they did the opposite, obviously. They brought Dembele and Giroud off, who had little to no impact on the game. Actually, that's a lie. Dembele did give away a penalty, so if anything, a negative impact on the game. And brought on Marcus Thuram and Toko Ekambi. No, not Toko Ekambi, sorry, Kolo Muani. I don't know why I said Toko Ekambi. Similar names, I guess. Randall Kolo Muani they brought on. That was a bit of a weird mix-up there. They brought on Kolo Muani, and it made a bit of a difference. It just meant they had a bit more pace, and they seemed to have a bit more energy than Dembele and Giroud, who have had good tournaments up until this game, which so was a bit of a shame for them. And France, from about the 65th minute, they just started to get a bit of the ball in Argentina's half, knocked it about a bit, and started to create one or two half chances. And I say half chances because I don't think there was anything clear cut really that they were creating. But then they got a penalty out of not nowhere, because they had increased the pressure, but just out of a position where it looked like Argentina were comfortable, and it was given away by Otamendi. And it was a bit of a clumsy challenge. He did a similar thing in the game against Holland right at the end of the game, gave away a needless free kick on the edge of the box. This one wasn't needless, but I mean, obviously, giving away a penalty, it sort of is needless a little bit, unless it's like an open goal, but he sort of had to try and win the ball to stop the chance. But the penalty was correctly given. Mbappe takes it, and he took a superb penalty, to be fair to him, put it right in the corner. Martinez did his absolute best, got a hand to it, but couldn't keep it out. And then you're just thinking, flip the switch. France are just way on top from that point onwards. It just took that penalty to just get some new life in their team. And about 2 minutes later, if that, maybe a minute and a half later, Mbappe scores another brilliant goal, another all-time World Cup final great goal. That definitely wasn't phrased in the correct grammar, but you get the gist of it. It was a superb volley, not balanced at all. It's just come over the top, and he's just gone purely for power. And he's got that much power on it that it doesn't even need to go right in the corner, and Martinez just hasn't got a chance. Brilliant goal. And Kylian Mbappe, fair play to him. He wasn't involved much in the first hour of the game, but from 60 minutes onwards, he was superb. And by far France's best player on a day where they, I think, average would it's a tough one really, because that final 25 minutes they were really good, and it's just like it took them going behind to wake up almost, and that was the same again in extra time, because you're thinking going into extra time Argentina might be done here, because they just looked so out of energy in the final minutes of normal time. I'll say that in stoppage time of normal time, they did start to create a couple of chances, and Lionel Messi nearly scored the winner. and it would have been a great goal as well. He just gets a yard of space on the edge of the box. But Upamecano, who I haven't criticised during this tournament, but I have said I would start Konate over him just because I think Konate is a great player. Upamecano did superb to block a part of the goal which Messi would have ideally wanted to aim at, and that left Messi with two options: either try and go to the side which Lloris is already sort of covered, or go dead centre. So he goes dead centre, but Lloris just about gets a hand to it and deflects it over the bar. Goes to extra time, and in extra time, I had a couple of Budweisers by this point, but by first half of extra time, just sort of flew by a little bit. Argentina were on top unexpectedly because I thought, as I say, the energy had gone from them from like the 70th minute onwards, but they were on top, and France just, it was similar to, it has a similar feeling to that Argentina-Holland game, the quarter-final, in that because Holland got the two late goals, you expected them to kick on and go on and win the tie in extra time, because they've got the momentum. But Argentina did really well to win back the momentum, and in the second half they managed to get what looked like the winner to make it 3-2 through Lionel Messi once again. It was a really well worked goal once again, but it won't come close to winning any goal of the tournament competitions, because it was a really well worked goal until Lloris saved Martinez's shot, and it fell to Messi, who had to tap in the end. So yeah, it was a better goal than people will make it out to be, I think. But once again, France equalised. Konate did really well to win a corner for France, held the ball up after only just coming on as a substitute for Raphael Varane. Varane did really well this tournament, by the way, considering the fact that it didn't look like he'd be a part of it only a couple of months ago when he got injured against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge for Man United. They won the corner, they got the penalty. Mbappe took a shot, got blocked by, I think it was Montiel, and it was one of them where it is a penalty because his elbow is out, but at the same time, it feels harsh because he's not tried to handball it at all, but it has to be given. Mbappe steps up again and scores again, another really good penalty, and Mbappe's clearly worked on his penalty since the Euros last summer when he did miss against Switzerland, which was the costly penalty in that shootout. And yeah, he scored to make it a hat-trick for him and become only the second player in history of the World Cup to score a hat-trick in the final after Jeff Hurst in the 1966 final. Although some German fans would say he's the first. I'm not going to make any comment on that. I'll just say that down in the record books, he's the second. And yeah, a brilliant performance from Mbappe, a brilliant World Cup from him as well. How many goals did he score? I think he got 8, which, I mean, is incredible, really. There's not many players who've scored more than 8. I know Just Fontaine scored 13 in 1958, but that was a bit of an anomaly. There's very few players who've scored like more than 8 in a World Cup. And yeah, it went to penalties from there. And I was just thinking after France scored, it was almost like I forgot the game's going to end in 2 minutes and it's going to go to penalties, because I was just like, oh no, France could get another one here. I was just thinking, right, I don't know what I was thinking, because I just didn't really consider penalties until the referee blew the whistle and the commentator said, right, we're off to penalties. And then I was like, okay, I know who I'd rather have in goal out of Emiliano Martinez and Hugo Lloris when it comes to a penalty shootout with Martinez's record. Lloris isn't bad from penalties. I can think of quite a few occasions in the past when Hugo Lloris has saved a penalty, especially for Tottenham. I can remember against Manchester City in a game in, I want to say January 2020. I can't remember. It might have been Gundogan who I took the penalty, I think, and he made a brilliant save for Lloris. And yeah, I just backed Martinez though. Messi and Mbappe take the first 2 penalties. None of this rubbish on let them take the 5th, the deciding penalty, because it didn't even come to that in the end. Both scored. And yeah, Argentina, all 4 scored for them. Messi, Montiel scored the decisive penalty in the end. Who else scored? Paredes scored 1. And who got the other one for Argentina? Oh, Dybala. All reasonably good penalties, some better than others. But France, Kolo Muani took a good penalty in what proved to be France's final penalty in the end. Just, if you're unsure, hammer it down the middle. But the 2 players who missed for France were Aurelien Tchouameni, who I think it was him who made the criminal offence of failing to hit the target, and Kingsley Coman also missed for France as well, but his was more a good save from Martinez in all fairness. But yeah, what a game, what a World Cup. For me, I've got mates who are older than me who have already said this is by far the best, well, not by far, but arguably the best World Cup that they've ever seen. For me, this is the best World Cup I've seen. I mean, I haven't seen many. This is only the 4th one I've seen, but it is the best. And I think a lot of people were a bit critical of Gianni Infantino when he said the other day that this has been the greatest World Cup ever, because they think it's Qatar, isn't it? It can't be that great, but it genuinely has been superb. I don't really think I criticise Infantino for saying that, because I'm struggling to think of how any World Cup can be better than this one, in all honesty. But what a month of football it's been absolutely superb, and I've enjoyed every single game I've watched. I think I've watched 56 games this tournament. I've watched every single game that when they haven't sort of clashed with each other, because obviously there's 16 games where there's 2 clashes at a time, where the final group games, and so I did miss I did miss 8 games at the end of the group stage, unfortunately, but I've watched every single knockout game, and most of them have been brilliant. It's not even the thing that's made this World Cup is just the drama. It's just been there can't have been a tournament in history. Although, having said that, I say that and I'm just thinking back to the 2019 Champions League. But this has been, in terms of drama, this has been up there with the 2019 Champions League in terms of like how dramatic it's been. Like, you think back to the 2019 Champions League, pretty much every knockout tie, almost, it felt like, except the final, was just an all-time great game. Liverpool-Barcelona, Ajax-Juventus, Ajax-Real Madrid, Tottenham-Ajax, Tottenham v Man City, Juventus versus Atletico Madrid, Man United v PSG. So many great ties that year in the Champions League. But even this year, there've been some absolutely brilliant games in the World Cup. You've got some of the group stage shocks like Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Japan beating both Germany and Spain. Tunisia, even though it didn't mean anything in the end, managing to beat France, which is just a huge result for them. Iran beating Wales, with what's going on in their country right now. And also, you had the drama in Group H on the final game with Uruguay and South Korea. Just so many great games. Serbia v Switzerland in the group stage. Cameroon v Serbia was great as well. And then that's just the group stage, and then you get to the knockout rounds. The great knockout rounds of this tournament have been England v France in the quarterfinal, Netherlands v Argentina in the quarterfinal as well, Brazil v Croatia, pretty much every quarter-final game was like amazing this tournament. It felt like even Morocco beating Portugal was brilliant. And then you had also some of the round of 16 games, like Morocco beating Spain on penalties, Croatia v Japan, great game. England playing some of the best football that the English national team has played against Senegal in that second half. Just so many superb games of football that for me, a lot of people say the 2010 or the 2014 World Cup, like a lot of people my age, that is. But that is going off pure nostalgia, I believe, because this World Cup has been just better, a different level to those two tournaments for me. And I loved both of them tournaments. Like when you were a kid watching the World Cup, there's nothing more special than that, really. Just ask any football fan and they'll tell you about the World Cups that they watched as a child and all the moments, because they're the ones that live with you. Like I was still sort of a kid in 2018. I was 15 years old by the end of it, and I could tell you most of what happened in that tournament. But 2010 and 2014, I could tell you pretty much everything you need to know about it. But yeah, this tournament's been amazing. And finally, I just want to, touch on Lionel Messi once again, because he's 35. Not going to see him much more of him at the top level. I don't think. We've maybe got 3 or 4 more years if we're lucky. But sadly it's not going to get better than what it already is. And he's not the player he was 10 years ago, but the fact that he's still one of the best footballers in the world at age 35, when he has had one of his best abilities that he had when he was younger taken away from him, in terms of, just because that's what happens when you age, you lose physical abilities, and one of his best physical abilities was that speed over 10-20 meters, where he could just wriggle in and out of 5 or 6 players with ease. But still, he's just an incredible footballer. For me, the best footballer of all time. I think the only player who comes close to him is Diego Maradona. I think Cristiano Ronaldo, I just want to talk about this debate because it's been going on all tournaments, and it's been going on for ages now, years. For me, it's forced. I just think, because people want to have a debate about who's the best footballer in the world. It adds a bit more. I don't know, mystique. Not mystique. That's the wrong word, but a bit more excitement to maybe the Ballon d'Or and awards like that, when the best footballer in the world has a rival. And Cristiano Ronaldo, in his own right, is one of the best footballers of all time. If we're making a top 10 of footballers of all time, he deserves to be in that 10, in my opinion. I know it's been a rough couple of years for him, but over his career, he's been superb. But Lionel Messi, for me, untouchable, and this is his crowning moment in football. What a career. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for watching the videos I've made over the last month on the World Cup. I've loved every single game. I don't want to know how many minutes of football I've watched. I could probably work it out off the top of my head right now. There's probably been an average of 2 hours of football per game, because you got extra time in some games but none in others, so, and also stoppage time. So 2 hours, 56 games that I've watched. That's 112 times 60. We're talking 6,720, I think that is off the top of my head. 6,720 minutes. That's like 5 days straight almost. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I've watched too much football. I've loved every minute though. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.